All right, good morning, everybody. So today I will be making a holiday mead. What's a holiday mead? Well, it's a mead that you make for the holidays. And for me, that means kind of the winter Christmas season. So I will be making a cranberry orange mead. Now, this is not my recipe. I specifically got this recipe from City Steading Brews. They are like my Bible for all intents and purposes for mead, and I am really excited to follow this recipe to the letter. So, we'll see how it goes. So, first thing is first, we need to measure out some honey. And today I'll be measuring out 2 pounds of honey. So we're looking for a gravity reading of about 1.10. That's what we would like. So it's going to be 96 ounces of cranberry juice. We're using the Kirkland Ocean Spray cranberry juice, 100% juice. It is lovely because it only has juices in it. So like it is cranberry juice, duh. Apple juice, grape juice, natural flavor, ascorbic acid. So all the good juices. Or it's nice that it's a blend, because if you did just cranberry juice, like the specialty bottles that are $8 for a quart, this would end up really tart and you'd have to back sweeten it like none other. So using something that's a little bit more blended is a great idea. So we've got 96 ounces of that. We'll be using 2 pounds of honey, and we'll be using the Kirkland wildflower honey. All right, I'll admit, the City Steading Brews honey, it was an orange blossom honey. I don't have orange blossom honey. I have wildflower honey. It'll still come through. And then to get it up to a gallon and to that 1.00 gravity, I have an extra 20 ounces of water. Now that's the cranberry side. Where's the orange? There it is. I will be zesting this orange, and only the zest. I will do my best to not get the pith, because there is a possibility of bittering agents because of the pith, but if some of it gets in there, it gets in there. So we'll be doing that. Where was I? Honey, yes. So 2 pounds of honey from Kirkland wildflower. That's 2 pounds of honey. It's technically 2.02. Oh, 2 pounds and 0.2 ounces. So I'm not concerned about that 0.2 ounces. And now my fingers are all honey and sticky, so I gotta wash them. Now, as I wash, it goes without saying that everything that I'm using today has been sanitized in the lovely black bucket. My preferred sanitization method is with Star San. It is a no rinse solution, and I follow the manufacturer's instructions. Follow those instructions. They're very, very important. Otherwise, you might burn yourself or things don't get sanitized. Either option, it's a bad time. So follow those directions. So there is honey. And next is going to go in some cranberry juice. Now, you may ask, why am I putting the cranberry juice in the pitcher when it should just go into the fermenter? I know exactly how much I'm going to use. Well, that's because I want to stir the honey, and stirring it in the fermenter is a lot harder. So I'm going to stir it in here and clean out the pitcher, making sure I get every little bit of honey, and then put it in the fermenter. Why do I need to stir it? Because the fermentation reaction will occur even if I don't stir. Well, I need to get a good gravity reading so that I know what ABV this brew is going to be. Hopefully, it'll be about 13% because of that 1.00 gravity. Now, it's not just ABV that I'm looking for with that gravity. Gravity also helps with whether or not something has stalled, which cranberry has a tendency to do. So I'm going to have to keep my eye on this one. But now to stir. What am I using to stir? My spattle. It's a spoon. It's a paddle. It's a spattle. Get in there and be messy about it. we want to oxygenate this brew because the yeast need the oxygen at this point in order to ferment. Oxygen is bad later when there is alcohol involved, because then it introduces acetobacters and the brew could turn into vinegar. And as lovely as a cranberry orange vinegar sounds, that's not what I want to make today. Yes, kitty. That was Naima. She's my old lady. There we go. I don't see any honey on that. And into the pitcher. It's already in a pitcher. Into the fermenter. All right. So it looks like I do indeed need to get in there again, because if you see that, that is a lot of honey in there, and I want that honey. Scraping that bottom. Amazing. And now the pitcher is clean. And I've got a little bit of the cranberry juice left. And we've got that 20 ounces of water to get it up to a gallon and up to that 1.00 gravity reading. Now, I will be taking a gravity reading of my own in just a second to confirm that is where I am. Because sometimes things happen. Sugar reacts differently sometimes. Each honey is different. So we'll see. All right. Give it a nice swirl. Now, you may say that, Rachel, you're making a 1 gallon batch. Your fermenter is huge. That is correct. It is huge. That's because it is a 12 liter or 3 gallon fermenter. I don't have a 1 gallon fermenter, nor do I want one, because I infuse a lot of fruits and things that take up space. So having a larger fermenter helps with that. Now you may wonder, but what about that oxygen you talked about? But that's the fermentation process. In that process, all of this space, which we call head space, is going to get filled with carbon dioxide, because that is what fermentation does. It takes the sugar and the yeast get together, and yeast poops out carbon dioxide and alcohol. So we keep the alcohol, and the carbon dioxide slowly fills up this space. So there's very little chance of any sort of oxidation happening. So we'll do a gravity reading real quick. Get my little pipette. Reach. All right, so that says 24.3% Brix. Awesome. So that puts it at 1.102. Perfect. I love it. Next, I want to go in with some pectic enzyme and some wine tannin. Now, why am I doing that? Well, the pectic enzyme is going to help the juices break down. All of those juices listed have pectin in them in some form or fashion. And pectin is the stuff that makes the fruit gel together. And the pectic enzyme breaks that apart. And in doing so, that'll clear up the brew. And I would love for the brew to be nice and crystal clear when it's all said and done. So first thing is first, half a teaspoon per gallon. Half a teaspoon. Get on in there. That's that. Now the wine tannin. Wine tannin is going to help with the mouthfeel and have this be a kind of bold and feel really good in the mouth, a little bit more like a good wine. And I love that in wine, and I love that in a mead. So we'll put in half a teaspoon. And that's in there. That's in there, and now we give it a stir again. I'm not going to stir too much because honestly the pectic enzyme and the wine tannin just naturally clump and they'll figure themselves out throughout the process. Next, I need Fermaid O, which is a yeast nutrient. Yes, so Fermaid O is a yeast nutrient, as even though yeast does eat sugar and poops out the carbon dioxide and alcohol, honey doesn't have all the things that yeast need to survive, like nitrogen and various other smaller compounds. Fermaid O is the way to go. I don't use anything that has diammonium phosphate in it just because I don't like the thought of urea being in my brews. So I go for Fermaid O. And it also is really, really affordable. Like, I'm going to be going through this for forever because I only need 2 grams. So we'll get that in there. All right. 2.01 grams. Perfect. Scrape that all in there. Unfortunately, because of the sanitization process, things get a little sticky. So yeast nutrient, also something that tends to clump up. It'll figure itself out during the fermentation process. So we've got the cranberry juice, the water, the honey, the pectic enzyme, the wine tannin, and the yeast nutrient. What's missing? Orange. So today I have a Caracara orange, and I'm looking forward to its flavor imbuing into the brew. Forgive me while I zest for a while. Oh, it's such a good smell. What is it, my girl? What? Yeah? She's a talkative one. All right. I'd say that looks pretty zested. Get all that oils in there. Yeah. That's going to be lovely. Another stir. There we go. All right, so the only thing left now is the yeast. The yeast that City Steading Brews used for its fruity qualities is Red Star Premier Cote de Blanc. Again, it's great for those fruity notes that'll come out when the fermentation process happens. It is a low foamer, so it's not gonna go exploding out of the fermenter like the blackberry apple did. And its yeast, the alcohol tolerance is about 12 to 14%. So really looking forward to that. The unfortunate thing is that these Red Star packets, you have to use a scissors. And we're going in with the entire packet. Now I'm not even going to stir because all it would do would get on my spattle. I don't want that. All right, so we've got everything in there. All I need to do now is put on a lid and an airlock and let it sit for a couple of weeks. I'm going to let it sit at least for 2 weeks. Looking forward to that. And then I'm going to take a reading and see where it goes. Now, City Steading Brews, when they did theirs, they did end up back sweetening at a certain point. Their brew kind of stalled out. We'll see how it goes here because I am in a very different environment than the City Steading Brews channel. So we'll see if this actually goes all the way dry or if there are going to be some remnants of sugar. Either way, I think we may end up back sweetening. Who knows? We'll find out. Otherwise, see y'all next time.